Welcome to the Minx Muse podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Minx, creatrix of Minx Muse, a fiercely feminine playhouse that cultivates self-discovery and empowerment through classes, workshops, and events centered around esoerotic dance, transformative movement, and mystical exploration. During this podcast, I'll be having candid conversations with fiercely feminine witches, seductresses, and dark goddesses living in Austin, Texas. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, Scout, aka Shakti Bliss.
Yes. Hi, it's nice to be here with you.
Thank you for being on the Minx Muse podcast.
Thank you for having me.
What are we drinking today?
Bellini's, I guess, this nice peach with a little bit of,
peach and champagne?
Yeah, a little bit of natty champagne in there.
Well, cheers.
Mm-hmm.
We are recording on Valentine's Day, so it's appropriate.
It's a day of love.
Yes. So, first thing I want to ask, how would you sum yourself up in a sentence or less?
Usually how I sum myself up is pretty haphazard in the way of just like wild, witchy, weird human, obsessed with learning. Like wild, witchy, weird human. And I almost say human being, but then I'm like, maybe less human, more being. Like one of those things, like maybe just a little weird, but definitely wild, witchy, weird.
Into it. And you do so many different things, a diverse array of things, we shall say.
Yeah.
So what are, and not as a human, but let's just narrow it down career-wise, what are the things that you do?
Yeah, I am a birth doula. I'm also a postpartum doula, so I just help people, navigate through like conceiving as well as like having babies.
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of design work here and there as well. I also do social justice work. I'm a yoga teacher, and I teach and learn a lot about rope and kink and BDSM and sex education. So it's a lot of different things.
Well, you're an interested person. You said you're interested in learning, so you're learning all the things and then applying them to your kind of very multifaceted career.
Yeah.
So how do you see all those things working together? Because I'm assuming you see a uniting force behind all of those.
For sure. It seems kind of like a random array of things that I do, but essentially it's all the same. It's me just like reminding people how to breathe, how to be present in their body, and like navigate somewhat uncomfortable situations and get like the most experience and expansion out of it. So whether that's like exploring your sensuality or sexuality, whether it's exploring your relationship structure or like expanding your family, all of those kind of relate and draw back into the same spaces inside of us. And so I just kind of like usher people through that experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, wow. You put that very well. It's almost like you understand what you do.
It's almost like I get it.
Yeah. So I'm assuming there was a starting point to all of this. So of all of these things, what was the first thing that you dipped your toe in that kind of started this journey?
I would have to say it's design. My degree is actually in design and marketing.
Okay.
And I think that what that really taught me was not only like tapping into my creativity, but like it gave me the desire to design my life and to like actually put mindful intention behind like what I want to do, what I want to spend my time doing, and the fact that I want to continue learning as I teach.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And then when did you pick up the yoga?
Actually through design. I was in marketing. I was working a lot. I was working like 9 to 5, probably longer than that, really like 7 to 7. And through that drive of designing my life, I decided to do more yoga. I decided to just do whatever made me feel good. And at that time it was a lot of yoga. Still is a lot of yoga. So I just immersed myself in that world, and through yoga it birthed everything else that I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then the doula came kind of after that. Do you have children?
I don't.
No,
I don't have any children. I've just been doing birth work for a really long time. I grew up around birth work. My mom was a birth worker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's kind of like in my family, like nurturing, taking care of people, and also just like the aspect of birth. So I inherited that. I was sort of born into that aspect.
And you were around it growing up, so it was probably something that you're very comfortable with.
Yes, for sure. I was not anything that I'm uncomfortable with. So it was nice being able to usher people through it who tend to see it as discomfort.
Yeah, I could imagine birthing a child being a bit tough. So
uncomfortable.
And then did the rope thing, is that the most recent kind of addition to the whole equation?
Yeah, I would say I've only been doing like a lot of rope in terms of like education and learning for like the last 2.5 years, which I would consider very short in comparison to everything else that I do, and compared to a lot of people that I know in this world, in this realm, who've been doing it for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think all of the aspects of everything you do is quite fascinating, but today I thought we would focus on the rope thing.
Yeah.
Because we're having you do a rope workshop here, so if anyone's interested, I'm going to refer them to this to say, here you can learn more about it on this podcast. But for me, it's something that I've been seeing a lot more present on social media. I don't know if it's just targeting me for the type of person I am or what's happening. Yeah, exactly. So I've been super curious about it. So questions. What is okay. Well, first, you've taken on the name Shakti Bliss.
Yes.
Shakti Bliss Bunny.
Yeah, or any variation of the name.
In your rope work. Mm-hmm. So what inspired that name?
Well, a lot of people in this, in just like BDSM, in the kink realm, tend to have like an alias. That can be just as like a form of secrecy. Some of them aren't as open in their day-to-day life, but also I think it's just a part of the culture now at this point. And Shakti Bliss just came to me, honestly. It sounds really woo-woo, but it did come to me. Like in a meditation, I was in like a mentorship a couple of years ago, and I don't know why, but Shakti Bliss kept like pinging through my head, and I kept writing it in my journals. And I had no idea what it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be like the name of something or like content I would create. I wasn't really sure, but when I entered this world and everyone was like, what is your name going to be? I was like, Shakti Bliss. And it just all fell into place.
And Shakti means power or energy, or what does Shakti mean?
Yeah, kind of all of the above. It's like the encompassment of like feminine power, creative power in the universe.
Okay.
And yeah, bliss, I mean, that's just a word that resonates with me through and through, because I really just seek out all of the little like yummy, joyful, blissy parts of life and try to like expand on them. So.
And you find bliss through rope work.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I started a lot of rope as a bottom, meaning that I was being tied and being bound and like even suspended into the air. And I mean, chemically in your body, just the endorphins running and a lot of the intense connection and bond you create with people when you're doing a lot of this sensual movement. But it's also just empowering in my own body. So it just brought me like straight to bliss. It was a straight shot to bliss. So I do like to warn people. That's why it's a little addictive. It's a straight shot of like happiness.
I'm assuming there's something there, because the thing is, you see the photography, right? I see the photography all the time, and I've never participated. And for me, I see the bondage aspect of it. I see the erotic aspect of it, but I really can't relate to what the experience of actually being bound is like. And so you explaining it like this makes it almost seem like a spiritual practice.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I like to see it. And a lot of people do. Some people don't. Some people really just like it for purely sensual or even sexual or erotic aspects. But it's definitely grown a lot deeper than that, especially just referencing specific like Kimbaku from the East. It's very much like connective rope. It's a collaborative process between like the top and the bottom, creating an artistic shape together, creating artistic movement. It's very much like a collaborative process as you explore a lot of emotions together.
Okay, Kimbaku.
Yeah, Kimbaku. Yeah.
Kimbaku. Okay, so that is an Eastern practice, you said?
Yeah.
That you, now do all rope people, does rope come from that? Or is that just kind of an area of rope that you connect with?
That's sort of what the most recent century has birthed rope into.
Okay.
As an ancient practice, originally it was used to sort of both transport, hold, and honor prisoners. Because even though, they are keeping prisoners captive back then, they still had like an honorable intention behind what they did and how they kept them. So they would actually tie them based on like status. and things like that. Yeah, but now in this new age and in this new century that we've like come into with this practice, it's kind of been birthed into almost like a martial art, like an artistic practice. And so things have shifted and changed into this consent culture, which is really beautiful. And it's made it really into like an art form, and people really enjoy the experiential side of it.
Yeah, and then, so there's the tops and there are the bottoms, and the tops are the people tying.
Yes.
The bottoms are the people being tied.
Yes, and a lot of people switch. I switch now, so I do tie people. I do top and suspend people and tie, but I definitely started as a bottom, which most people do, just to sort of get that experience. And it's a lot of hard work. It's a discipline of love to learn all the different patterns, and also to learn like safety behind it.
Yeah, sure. So what are some of those like basic safety things that we all should know if we're even thinking about doing ropes?
Yeah, I think that finding education is really important. Even if you're not full-blown dive deep into wanting to be in this rope world, but you just maybe want some sexy rope to bring into the bedroom.
Yeah.
It's still really helpful to find a class, because there are just certain nerves in the body. There are certain ways that certain bodies react to being bound that you just want to know about, certain spaces to avoid. But also rope requires a lot of tension, and it's nice to know like where to place that tension so that you can restrict someone but not hurt someone, unless that's your intention.
Yeah, unless that's your kink, right?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then, so say someone's like, oh, Shakti, this sounds rad. I want to get into this. What would you say their first steps of getting into the rope world is? Is there is education easy? Is online education, in-person education? How did you start?
Yeah, I highly suggest in-person education. It's not something everybody can get, but there are a lot of like conferences that travel around throughout the year, even if your community doesn't have regular classes. I always suggest fetlife.com. I always suggest that website. It's kind of spotty and haphazard in the infrastructure and how it's run, but ultimately it's where you can find like kinky fun in your area, and you will probably stumble upon at least one or two teachers that are somewhat close to you, and you can ask them about classes. But I started here in town with an organization that I really, really love, Austin Rope Slingers, and I would highly recommend people in the area to look them up. They have a website. They have meetups every Monday. They talk about consent. They do beginners 101 classes. You can also just go and observe and see other people tie if you're just like, I've never seen this before. So they really open up the community and make a nice, gentle landing space for people who want to kind of open that door.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And that's awesome. We have right here in Austin,
a
resource like that, and you, because you do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, people can always reach out to me.
And how do you find a partner to work with? Was that something that you went in with someone or along the way? Because I noticed you have specific people that you seem to work with over and over again. Is that kind of someone you found once you jumped into the community, or did you know this person before?
I found a lot of people once I jumped into the community. I didn't really enter with someone. It's not uncommon for couples to enter the community together, but I think it's just building relationships, finding trust, finding people that share the same style of rope that you would like to experience, and share the same intention and meaning. And I do kind of exploring with new people, but I do have trusted people that I constantly work with and grow with and try new things with, and it's really, really fun. But I think it's just, sort of exploring and seeing who fits together with you and who wants to learn with you, and availability and all of those things. But I do have different partners kind of scattered and sprinkled across the U.S. when I travel different places, people who are trusted that I would go and tie with.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And you says there's different styles. What are some different styles that you would maybe find in this community?
Well, there's a lot of sadistic rope, which I think is what people's go-to is. They might see that a lot, or they assume it's supposed to be super painful. And some people, that's their jive. They want a little sadism. They want the challenge of processing the pain. And that rope can be super binding, super stressful positions, even if you're not in the air. But then there's also sensual rope, where it's more of a sensational experience. It's more of sensation play, of feeling the different texture of rope, the different tensions of rope. There's more connective rope, and then there are people who just like the erotic rope as well. So there are so many different facets, and I don't think you have to know about all of them going in. I think it's really just tapping into how you feel, and that's really why I like coming into a space like this and talking about it, because people tend to forget, they get really caught on learning all of like the vocabulary and all the things, and you forget to feel. And it's like, just go in and feel it. Like, you know, if this person resonates with you, you feel comfortable with them, try it, you know. If not, don't. But like, just tap into how you feel. It's less about all the things that you know, and more about like what you're feeling. So I like to tell people like how to be safe, and then like let them explore and kind of go in the playground, the sandbox, and play around.
That's probably where your yoga experience comes in too, is like being present and being able to like be aware and conscious as you're doing things. So.
Yeah. And just sort of feeling it out, experiencing it, you know?
Yeah, that's super smart. I like that. I like the playfulness that you bring to it as well, that it's not like, you need to know all the things and have all the ropes and to be like very well versed. It's kind of like, this is a learning experience and you make of it as you will. Yeah, whether that's an art form or it's just purely a kink or anything in between.
It's all fun. So explore it all.
Yeah. And so, because you identify, when I'm reading your website and just what I know about you, as like sex positive. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean to you? And how does that like manifest itself in your life, ropes or otherwise?
Yeah. Sex positivity for me is really just accepting. It starts with accepting myself. And with that, it was like releasing a lot of shame around, I think that's just embedded in our culture around sexuality, around untraditional relationship structures. For me, that was like a lot of exploring polyamory, which I did when I was in the midst of a 10-year relationship that I was in. So it was very like untraditional for people to wonder what we were doing. And even now, just as someone who is in the age range of people who are like getting married and starting to have babies, and then people are wondering like why I have like 3 partners. So
do you have 3 partners?
I mean, right now I don't have 3 partners, but recently, yes, I did. Recently, there was a time with 3 partners. But I think that just like expressing fluidity in your own sexuality and fluidity in your desires, and knowing it's not always going to stay the same, and maybe that you can't expect, you know, all of your needs to be met by one person, and just exploring the emotional side of that of the human experience is not really talked about widely in our culture. So a lot of my sex positivity is just opening that door so that other people can feel like they can talk about it. And in my own life, like exploring those feelings and releasing a lot of shame behind what I fear other people might think.
Yeah. So like, because I mean, you do have another name that you go by in this world, which I think makes complete sense. And you said a lot of people, and so it's kind of like burlesque, right? People have burlesque names. And it's kind of fun because I always think like, well, derby girls have fake names too, right? And it's
like, a prominent thing. Yeah,
it allows you to bring access to the side of yourself that you maybe necessarily wouldn't in your heading to work, go to the office, 9 to 5 type thing.
Yeah, we compartmentalize as humans, and I feel like it's almost like you're role playing, but you're role playing as yourself every time. And you're just like putting on a different suit, because as humans, compartmentalization just makes us feel safe. And so people do like to have like a mindset when they're going to work, and a mindset when they're going to start.
Put on your suit.
Exactly.
Have a suit on. Like, I'm going to be a powerful person.
Exactly. So I think that's what that alias does for me. Really, it's a nice like title, and of course it's me. So it's like a brand. I think of it as like, you know, a brand that I encompass myself in, but I in no way hide behind it.
Yeah, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
So does your family like know about this side of you, and like what are their thoughts?
They know to an extent, because I don't think they want to know like a whole lot. They're aware though, just because I'm an adult and I don't see the point in having like putting forth the effort and trying to hide it from them at all. But I think they just see it as like something else weird that I do, and a weird artistic thing, you know, and they know that I'm into aerial arts, and I think that's like what a lot of my family sees it as an equivalent to, is they see it like similar to, you know, aerial silks, and I'm just like kind of, but not really. And so I just kind of let them trail off, but they are aware, and I think they just, at this point, they look at me with like that southern, like the southern eyes of like, bless your heart, like just go do all your weird shit, like, you know, just go do your weird stuff. So.
Because you're a Texas girl.
Yeah.
You're from Houston.
Yes. So my mom just has that mentality of like, oh, you weird little thing. We love you, but you're just so weird.
Doing what brings you bliss, right? She probably knows that about you.
Oh yeah, she's known it since she was the first one from a young age. She's just like, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and it's fine.
And you have like a primary partner, right?
Yes.
And it's a he.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is he into ropes and all of that as well?
Yeah, it interests him for sure.
Okay.
He doesn't have as much time to dedicate to it as I do, but he really enjoys the experience of like playing around with me, of learning a lot of the stuff. He likes like kind of taking a peek into the world with me whenever he can. And I think that it just sort of opened his mind up to an artistic side of sexuality because, you know, just as someone who is like male identifying and has a different relationship with his sexuality and sensuality than I do, he never really tied creativity and like artistry to it. So he was just like, this is a way to sort of exercise my creative mind as well as like fulfill this really cool sensual like pleasure. So we do have a lot of fun with it together.
Cool.
Yeah.
And now what is like your vision moving forward? Do you feel like do you have any vision of how you want to like further this path in your life? Or
I mean, I don't really have that. Yeah, I'm just in it right now. Like
it.
I'm usually such a planner, and if you had asked me 10 years ago, I might have been like, here's what I'm going to do. And of course, none of those things happened.
Yeah.
But I think at this point in my life, I'm so in it, and I love just being in it. I love being immersed and just drowning in the experiences, and then just like being free flowing with whatever happens next. So I'm just really pleasantly surprised with the things that have happened so far and the opportunities I get to teach the things that I do, while still being in the midst of learning so much from so many people and just giving other people a platform to explore and learn and having collaborations with people like you and really great studio spaces like this that really resonate with like the core of who I am and what I like to do, and seeing more of these spaces become available to people and more people just opening up to a process and a mindset of just like energetic peace and happiness and you know, harmony in that way. So I'm just really in it, and I'm not really looking towards the future because I'm so like happy and comfortable where things are going. So I'm just happy. I'm happy to be leading this class here. I'm happy to continue and hopefully do more, and I'm just basking in that experience right now.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I love that you, like how you just described that. It really, how you show sexuality as like a spiritual pursuit, and how you can add this, the spirituality to the sensuality, to the sexuality, to the kink. Yeah. You're kind of like bringing that all together.
Yeah.
I find you, like when I first discovered you, I don't know, I just loved your energy and like how you present everything. I was like, oh, this is my style. I've always been interested, but I've never been like, oh, I actually want to try this, until I kind of saw your practice around it, and I was like, oh, this feels really good. So yeah, and it's all the experiences you bring. It's the design, it's the yoga, you know, it's the doula and holding space energy that you seem to all combine in like this rope practice. And as an educator, I think you're bringing a very unique perspective.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just really love people to find the divinity in themselves and like worship the hell out of it. So that's what I want to bring to the table.
Super cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So let's jump into the questions that I've been asking all of the guests.
Okay.
So the first one is, what is your personal mantra?
Personal mantra, first thing that comes to mind is go with the flow. I say that to myself like constantly throughout the day. Yes, go with the flow. Yeah. Anywhere and always.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. I like that. Because you said you're like, I'm a planner, but it sounds like you're fighting that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I really just, I'm hitting this stride where I've worked really hard for a lot of years and planned a lot of things. And I feel like now as a result, I can kind of coast a little bit. And I like to kind of have that fluidity. The fluidity doesn't come natural to me. So I have to remind myself. Therefore, my mantra is like, remember the fluidity. Like, go with the flow.
I like it. Perfect. And what is your favorite sensuous indulgence?
Ooh, that's so many things. Honestly, I would have to say rope. Yeah, I would have to say rope for sure. That is my favorite indulgence, I love having a good connective rope session. And it could be as simple as like my partner practicing knots on me. But, you know, if I'm relaxed and we're both mindful, and the fact that we have such an intense connection, it can be so much more than that, really. Like the experience on the inside is so much more than just practice.
So say you're meeting with your partner, what is like kind of that average kind of meetup like?
Yeah. Well, when I start any type of rope, whether it's like, I'm just going to practice on you, or like we're trying to do this really cool, like hardcore scene, I just like to start with checking in with myself. I like to bring myself into mindfulness, breathe with myself, and make sure that I am regulated emotionally. And then I like to step into the space and open up the negotiation floor to like exchanging with the other person and finding out how they're feeling, breathing with them, and sort of like building a space between us. And then we engage in rope as like almost an extension of our own touch. And so that really can ignite like a powerful experience, no matter if it's like practicing one knot or doing something called Ichinawa, which is like one rope. It's like not even doing anything intricate, just really binding and having a sensual experience with the movement of one rope on you. So it could be simple or complex. It doesn't really matter in terms of pattern or artistry. It's more about like the emotional experience and the sensual experience.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, because I was like, wait, I didn't even, what does this look like?
Yeah.
So it's usually like a couple hours, a few hours if you're doing something like this?
Usually, yeah, it's I would say at least an hour, especially if you're doing something where you're going up in the air and you're suspending. It could be, but time really does suspend. It's very similar to like birth and anything else that you're doing that's powerful and emotional. Time like suspends in the space. You know.
Yeah. Well, and the actual physical suspension, that's something. I'm assuming that's a level 2. That's something that takes
different.
A bit more.
It's different.
But how long until you started doing suspensions, actually?
I mean, as a bottom, I hopped into suspensions very quickly, and that was just because I'm crazy and a little reckless, but also just because I did have a lot of experience with aerial arts and yoga, and I had a lot of body awareness, so it was a little bit safer for me to jump into it a little quicker. But as someone who ties, I do think that it's something that you don't have to jump into. There's so much beautiful, sensual, and powerful work you can do with someone on the ground. There's a lot of really fun things that you can do on the ground that you can't do in the air. So I just think that I know it's flashy and people get attracted to being up in the air, especially like over social media and the pictures and all the things. But there's so much more to also just like being grounded on the earth. Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have to think like, oh, if I want to try this all Sunday, I'm going to be hanging from the
rafters. No. There's plenty to do on the ground.
Awesome. And so what is something that you are currently manifesting?
I am manifesting expansion and learning all the time. All the time. Like, I just want more experience, and it doesn't even have to be like fabulous experience. Like, I just take it all, like the good, the bad, the shitty, the sad, like the joyous, the blissful. I want it all, and I like to just experience it. Like, I'm really just enjoying my time, like in the human experience, like down in the mud with everybody else.
That's so rad. I wish, yes, I want to take that on as myself.
Yeah.
Personally, I want to take that as something I'm manifesting to. Expansion and just living as a human. Mm-hmm. That was my personal mantra for a while was, it's just a ride. It's just a ride. Because I was like trying to be more human. And so like, it's something to remind yourself.
Yeah. I mean, we're effortlessly human. We just fight it in ourselves. And then that's where the true struggle comes, you know? It's just us fighting ourselves. It's more just like, just allowing, you know, I just allow it all to happen and I get excited when it comes in.
Excellent. Okay. So, what is one thing in Austin we should all check out? And you said you've lived here for how many years?
11.
11.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You're pretty OG.
I mean, Minx Muse, honestly, like that's my number one thing I tell everyone because it's just great vibes in here. I mean, even just coming in and seeing the classes that are available and all the things. And then another one would be, of course. And another one would be Austin Rope Slingers. Yeah. It's just a really great, like, group run, organization. And they work really hard, and they provide a very safe, consensual space to explore all these things. So I think that a lot of times when people see something they're interested in that's new, it's always like, you know, a little twinge of fear that happens. And it's really, really cool that we happen to live in a city where not only is this kind of stuff naturally merged with like an artistic side, but there is like a safe space with multiple leaders, multiple people around who can help educate you, teach you the things that you want to know, but also keep you in a space where they know that you're going to, you know, practice safe, consensual kink.
Yeah. And that's male and female, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's like all are welcome.
All inclusive.
Cool.
It's all inclusive. Top, bottom. You can come without a partner, come with a partner, all the things. And it's donation based as well. And it's weekly. Cool. So it's amazing because if you have a busy schedule, I mean, if you can only come once a month, it's fine. But it's just something that's always available. And they work really hard to keep it running.
Wow. What an amazing group. That's super. I never even knew they existed.
Yeah. You can just Google Austin Rope Slingers. They'll come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are we gonna, so real quick, your workshop, what can we expect from that?
Yeah. So this workshop is really going to be like all me. And what I mean by that is that traditionally in the rope world, you have a lot of classes where they'll teach you like rope patterns, they'll teach you different knots, and they'll teach you things like that, which is really cool. And then I come from the yoga world where we talk about breathing and like esoteric, like human experiences. And this is going to merge both of those things. It's going to really bring a lot of like the ritual side of rope and the ritual of taking care of your rope, of using your rope as an extension of yourself, of using it as a way to communicate and bond with another person. And we also will learn like different patterns and fun things that you can actually put on people's bodies or yourself.
Okay. And you don't need to come with a partner. You just come and just come with an open mind.
Come with an open mind and open heart. You don't have to come with anything. I'll have rope here. I'll also have rope available to purchase here if people are interested. We will like pair up and things like that based on people's comfort level. But if you want to come with a partner, you're welcome as well. So
what do you wear to a rope workshop?
Something comfortable, and something like form-fitting, very similar to anything you would wear to yoga.
Okay.
It does help to have like some skin showing. It helps me just because I like to have that sensual experience, but it also helps in terms of like the tension in the rope. But you don't need to feel like you have to show skin if you aren't comfortable or don't want to.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I like people to just wear what makes them feel like a goddess or a god. That's what I tell people. Like,
that's what we say for our classes. I'm like, I don't know, a bikini, yoga pants, and a tank top.
That's what they say. I don't care.
Anything in between.
Please, anything. Lingerie. Like, I'm expecting all the nines. Okay. Like, whatever you would like to recommend. I might come in wearing a teddy. Who knows?
Cool. So. Yeah, and that is Saturday evening, March 2nd from, I think we're doing 6 to 8 p.m.
Yes, 6 to 8.
Yeah, so I'm going to put links to your website. I'm going to put, links to that workshop because I'm sure people will catch this after, but you do a lot of things and you're doing a lot of creative things in Austin, and it's just been such an honor having you on and talking with you. I feel like I learned a lot today.
Thank you so much. I always love chatting with you, though. It's always so fun, and we have such a good vibe. So it was really nice hopping on here and getting to share.
Yes, let's cheers. Let's cheers.
Yes, cheers to our power.
Yes, amen. And thank you for everyone for watching or listening and for checking out the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Minx Muse podcast. You can find show notes and learn more about the studio at www.minxandmuse.com. Go get your life, boo, and we'll see you again soon.